Your soulmate's family secretly talked about you. What they decided will surprise you. There are moments in life when conversations happen behind closed doors that have the power to change everything. Sometimes, those conversations are about opportunities, dreams, and the people who unexpectedly leave a lasting impression on our hearts. This is one of those moments. Your soulmate has been thinking about you far more than you realize. Whether you have already met them or your paths are destined to cross in the future, your presence has created a ripple effect in their life. They have spoken about you with admiration, curiosity, and a sense of excitement that even surprised them. Recently, something unexpected happened. Your soulmate found themselves sitting with their family during a casual gathering. What started as an ordinary conversation slowly became something much more meaningful. Someone asked a simple question. Is there anyone special in your life right now? Your soulmate hesitated for a moment. They smiled quietly before answering. There was something different in their expression, a softness that only appears when speaking about someone who truly matters. They began describing you. Not by talking about superficial things, but by sharing the qualities that make you unique. They spoke about your strength during difficult times. They spoke about your kindness, your determination, and the way you continue moving forward even when life becomes challenging. The family listened carefully. At first, they were simply curious. But the more your soulmate spoke about you, the more interested everyone became. They noticed something they hadn't seen in a very long time, a genuine happiness in your soulmate's voice. One family member smiled and asked, "What makes this person so special to you?" Your soulmate paused before replying. "It's difficult to explain. They make me believe that real love can be peaceful. They inspire me to become a better version of myself." Those words immediately caught everyone's attention. Families have an incredible ability to sense when someone's feelings are genuine. They notice the little things, the smile that appears unexpectedly, the excitement hidden in someone's voice, and the emotional connection that cannot easily be described. That evening, the conversation continued. Questions began pouring in. What are their dreams? What kind of values do they have? Are they honest and compassionate? Do they bring positivity into your life? Can you imagine building a future with them? Your soulmate answered every question sincerely. They didn't describe perfection because they understand that nobody is perfect. Instead, they spoke about authenticity. They talked about your resilience. They talked about the lessons life has taught you. They spoke about your caring nature and your willingness to help others. Most importantly, they shared how safe and comfortable they feel whenever they think about you. One elder family member quietly observed your soulmate throughout the conversation before saying something unexpected. You aren't simply interested in this person. You're emotionally invested in their happiness. Those words filled the room with silence. It suddenly became clear that this wasn't an ordinary attraction. This connection carried emotional depth and genuine affection. After dinner, something surprising happened. Several family members continued discussing you privately. They weren't criticizing or questioning your worth. Instead, They were trying to understand who you are and why your soulmate feels so connected to you. One family member said, "If this person truly brings peace and happiness into your life, then perhaps we should be grateful that you found them." Another replied, "Love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections complement your own." The conversation became increasingly heartfelt. They began imagining what kind of person would truly support your soulmate's dreams and emotional well-being. As they reflected on everything they had heard, they realized something surprising. Many of the qualities they hoped your soulmate would find in a future partner matched the qualities your soulmate had described about you. You value emotional connection. You value loyalty. You value growth and understanding. These are the very things their family considers important in a meaningful relationship. However, they still had questions. Every loving family wants reassurance that the person entering their loved one's life possesses good intentions. They wanted to know whether you are emotionally mature, whether you communicate honestly, and whether you would stand beside your soulmate during difficult moments. What impressed them most wasn't any single accomplishment or material success. It was your character. Character cannot be purchased. It is developed through experiences, challenges, and personal growth. Your soulmate shared stories that revealed your compassion and emotional strength. As they spoke, several family members quietly smiled. One of them finally said, "I don't know this person personally, but I already appreciate the way they make you smile." That simple statement touched your soulmate deeply. For the first time, they realized that their family wasn't searching for reasons to disapprove. Instead, they genuinely wanted to understand the person who had brought such positivity into their life. Later that night, another family member offered some thoughtful advice. Relationships aren't built upon grand gestures alone. They're built upon trust, respect, patience, and friendship. If this person encourages all of those qualities within you, then that's something worth protecting. Your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about those words. Something beautiful began unfolding during this secret conversation. The family started seeing you not as a stranger but as someone who might one day become an important part of their future. Some family members even admitted they were curious to meet you someday. They wanted to hear your story and understand what shaped you into the person you are today. Yet there was one particular comment that surprised everyone. An elder family member quietly smiled before saying, "Sometimes, God introduces the right people into our lives long before we fully understand why. Perhaps this connection is happening for a reason." Those words stayed in everyone's hearts. By the end of the evening, no dramatic judgments had been made. No unrealistic expectations were placed upon you. Instead, they reached an unexpected decision. They decided to remain open-hearted and hopeful about the possibility of you becoming part of their loved one's future. They decided that if you are truly the person your soulmate believes you to be, then you deserve encouragement rather than skepticism. Most importantly, they decided that genuine love, when built upon respect, kindness, and emotional maturity, is always worth giving a chance. Little do you know, this secret family conversation was only the beginning. Because during their next discussion, something even more surprising would happen. Your soulmate's family would uncover a hidden truth about your connection that none of them saw coming. The secret conversation about you didn't end that night. In fact, it had only just begun. After everyone went home, your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about the questions their family had asked. They realized something important: talking about you felt natural. There was no need to exaggerate or pretend. Every word came directly from the heart. Over the next few days, your soulmate's family continued bringing you up in conversations. It was unexpected. Usually, family discussions about relationships last only a few minutes before moving on to something else. But this time was different. There was something about your story that stayed in their minds. One evening, your soulmate's mother quietly asked, "Do you know what I noticed when you talked about this person?" Your soulmate smiled and replied, "What?" "You looked peaceful." Those simple words carried more meaning than anyone realized. Peace is something many people spend their entire lives searching for. Attraction can happen quickly. Excitement may come and go. But peace, the kind that settles deep within someone's heart, is rare. Your soulmate's family began noticing small changes in them. They smiled more often. They seemed more hopeful about the future. Even during stressful moments, speaking about you brought comfort and happiness into their life. One family member jokingly said, "We don't even know this person yet, and they've already improved your mood." Everyone laughed, but there was truth hidden within the joke. Soon, the conversation shifted from curiosity to something much deeper. "What kind of future do you imagine with this person?" someone asked. The question caught your soulmate by surprise. They paused for several moments before answering honestly. "I don't imagine perfection. I imagine partnership. I imagine supporting each other's dreams, growing together, and building a peaceful life." The room fell silent. Those listening could hear the sincerity in their voice. It wasn't about fantasy or unrealistic expectations. It was about building something meaningful. An elder relative smiled and shared some wisdom. When choosing someone to spend your life with, ask yourself one important question: does this person bring out the best version of who you are? Your soulmate didn't hesitate. "Yes," they answered. That response surprised even them. Because sometimes, it takes difficult questions to reveal feelings we haven't fully acknowledged ourselves. The family then began discussing relationships in general. They shared stories about successful marriages, lessons learned through difficult experiences, and the qualities that truly matter when two people choose one another. One thing became very clear during this conversation. They weren't looking for someone perfect for your soulmate. They were hoping for someone genuine. Someone who understands that relationships require patience, forgiveness, communication, and mutual respect. As they listened to your soulmate describe you, many of them quietly reached the same conclusion. You seem to possess many of those qualities. Then something unexpected happened. Your soulmate's grandmother, who had been listening quietly throughout the discussion, finally spoke. "You know," she said softly, the people who are meant to stay in our lives often arrive differently than we expect. Everyone turned toward her. When I met my husband, she continued, I didn't know immediately what our future would look like. What I knew was how he made me feel, safe, respected, and appreciated. The rest of our story unfolded one day at a time. She smiled warmly before adding, don't rush to decide whether someone belongs in your future. Instead, pay attention to how they influence your heart and character. Those words left a lasting impression on everyone present. Your soulmate realized that their feelings for you were not based on temporary excitement. They admired who you are as a person and respected the journey that has shaped you. Later that evening, another family member asked an important question. What challenges has this person overcome in their life? Your soulmate began sharing what they knew about your struggles, your resilience, and the ways you have continued moving forward despite setbacks and disappointments. The more they shared, the more impressed everyone became. Because strength isn't measured by a life free of difficulties. True strength is demonstrated by how someone responds to those difficulties. One family member quietly said, people who have faced hardships often develop the deepest compassion for others. At that moment, something shifted in the family's perspective. You were no longer simply someone their loved one cared about. You became someone whose story mattered. Someone worthy of understanding rather than assumptions. Then came the biggest surprise of all. After hours of thoughtful conversation, your soulmate's father made a statement nobody expected. If everything you've told us is true, he said, then I don't think we're worried about whether this person is good enough for you. Everyone looked at him curiously. I'm wondering whether you're willing to become the kind of person they deserve too. The room immediately became silent. Those words completely changed the direction of the conversation. Relationships are often viewed as one person needing approval from another person's family. But true love isn't about one-sided expectations. It is about two people growing together. Your soulmate realized that love is not simply finding the right person, it is becoming the right person as well. Their family wasn't secretly judging you. They were encouraging your soulmate to continue growing emotionally, spiritually, and personally so they could contribute equally to a healthy and loving relationship. This realization surprised everyone. Because the conversation that began with questions about you ultimately became a conversation about both of you. The family's hidden decision wasn't what anyone expected. They decided that if this connection continues developing naturally and respectfully, they would support it wholeheartedly. More importantly, they decided that your soulmate should never take your presence for granted. They recognized that meaningful relationships are gifts that deserve care, honesty, and appreciation. Little do you know, however, another secret discussion is about to take place, one that will reveal why several members of your soulmate's family believe your arrival in their life may not be a coincidence at all. Days passed after that heartfelt conversation, but something unusual began happening within your soulmate's family. Your name continued to come up unexpectedly during family dinners, casual conversations, and quiet moments spent together. No one had planned for this to happen. Somehow, you had become a topic that everyone was curious about. What surprised your soulmate the most was that their family wasn't asking superficial questions anymore. They had moved beyond wanting to know what you looked like or where you came from. Instead, they wanted to understand the kind of person you truly are. One evening, while discussing future plans, your soulmate's sister smiled and asked, "Have you noticed how different you've been lately?" "What do you mean?" your soulmate asked. "You've become more patient. You're more positive than you used to be. Even when you're stressed, you seem calmer." Whatever influence this person has had on your life, it has been a good one. Those words caused everyone sitting at the table to pause for a moment. Sometimes, the greatest sign that someone belongs in your life isn't found in dramatic romantic gestures. It's found in the person you become because of their presence. Healthy relationships encourage growth. They inspire us to become kinder, wiser, and more emotionally mature. Your soulmate began reflecting on who they were before meeting you, or before realizing the depth of their feelings for you. They noticed changes they had never fully acknowledged before. They had become more hopeful about the future. They had learned to communicate more honestly. They had become more intentional about their goals and priorities. Most importantly, they had developed a deeper understanding of what truly matters in a meaningful relationship. One family member quietly observed, "People can pretend to be happy for a short time. But genuine happiness changes how a person carries themselves every single day." The family began seeing evidence of that happiness in your soulmate. Then came a conversation that nobody expected. Your soulmate's grandmother sat beside them one afternoon and asked a simple question. "When you imagine your future, is this person standing beside you?" Without hesitation, your soulmate answered, "Yes." It wasn't a response they had carefully prepared. It simply came from the heart. The grandmother smiled knowingly before saying something that would stay with your soulmate forever. You don't fall in love with someone's perfection. You fall in love with the peace you feel when imagining a future that includes them. Those words resonated deeply. For the first time, your soulmate realized that what they valued most about you wasn't any particular achievement or circumstance. It was the sense of peace and emotional safety that naturally accompanied thoughts of you. Meanwhile, the family's conversations became increasingly thoughtful. They began discussing the qualities that create lasting relationships. Trust during difficult seasons. Emotional maturity during disagreements. Mutual respect despite differences. Shared values and life goals. The willingness to grow together over time. Your soulmate quietly smiled as they realized how often your name seemed to align with those qualities. One relative asked, "What if this person isn't exactly who you expect them to be?" The answer surprised everyone. "No one is exactly who we imagine them to be," your soulmate replied. Relationships aren't about finding perfection. They're about learning, understanding, and choosing one another despite imperfections. The family exchanged approving smiles. They weren't simply hearing someone speak about romance. They were hearing someone speak about partnership. Later that evening, something even more surprising happened. Your soulmate's father admitted something he had been thinking ever since the first family conversation. To be honest, he said, I was prepared to be skeptical at first. I thought this might simply be another passing attraction. But after listening to you speak about this person over the past few weeks, I believe this connection means much more to you than I originally realized. The room grew silent once again. He continued. The biggest sign isn't what you've told us about this person. It's who you've become while caring about them. That statement touched everyone deeply. Sometimes, families see changes within us before we recognize them ourselves. Your soulmate realized that you had unknowingly inspired personal growth simply by existing in their life story. Whether through conversations, shared experiences, or emotional connection, your presence had become something meaningful. Then came the secret sign that completely changed the family's perspective. One family member quietly said, "Every time we ask you about this person, you speak about their happiness before your own." Everyone immediately noticed how true that statement was. Your soulmate wasn't focused solely on what they could receive from a relationship. Instead, they consistently spoke about wanting to support, encourage, and protect your dreams and emotional well-being. That realization surprised everyone. Because genuine love is not rooted in selfishness. It desires mutual happiness and growth. After several heartfelt conversations, your soulmate's family reached another unexpected conclusion. They decided that if this relationship continues to develop naturally, they would welcome the opportunity to know you for who you truly are, not based on assumptions or unrealistic expectations. They secretly hoped that one day they would have the chance to sit across from you and discover the person who had brought so much positivity into their loved one's life. But perhaps the most beautiful thing they decided was this. They would never expect perfection from you. They would simply hope that you are kind, honest, and willing to love.